everybody. My name is Kelly Gannon, and I'm the Vice President of Adult Services here at Centerstone.
Hi there, I'm Kimberly Brothers, and I'm the co-founder of The Living Room.
I'm Shannon White. I'm the Vice President of External Affairs for Centerstone, Kentucky.
And I will be your host today, Tara Bassett. It's nice to see you on this pop-up Take It From Tara, as we like to call it. Yep, just pop up, show up somewhere, and do a live cast about things that are newsworthy and timely. Yes. And there couldn't be anything more timely than this today. We are in the living room at Centerstone, and the whole purpose of the living room is phenomenal. It's unique. It's something that I'm going to let Kelly explain to you, because it's something that is facing defunding if the Metro budget does not go the way that we would like it to go. And I, for one, have sent a lot of people here. As most of you know, I work a lot with homeless advocacy. I work in mental health and substance use disorder as well, and I really value the program that the Living Room presents to people as an immediate crisis response center. So talk to us a little bit about the whole concept of the Living Room and why we need to keep it.
Yeah, thank you again for doing this.
My pleasure.
This is wonderful, and I tell you, we've really evolved over the past year and a half almost now. We started out as a diversion program. So for folks who were encountering with the police had an alternative to jail or to an emergency room. So it started out that way. We opened to several police districts. It worked really well. Diversion worked really well. And then we went from a diversion to a step down. So now people were coming out of the jail, and
hang on a second. Stephanie, can you turn that down just a little bit for us? Thank you. Harry Potter's blaring in the background. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Quidditch
match. The Quidditch match.
Yes.
Super
busy day.
Yeah, which is great for folks to be able to come in and sit and watch TV for a while. It's starting to rain. We've got a tornado watch. This is a place you can get away from it.
Yeah. We're in a basement.
Safe in a basement. And we're safe in a basement.
We're very safe down here.
We're good. So the diversion works really well, and over the months we kept opening up larger and larger. And then we also did the step-down service, so people who were in jail would step down to us as well.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
also people who were in emergency rooms, in our emergency psychiatric service, didn't have another place to go, could come to us here. Yeah. And then we opened wide, and we're open to the public. And we will serve any crisis. It doesn't matter. Crisis is subjective anyway, so you come in, we'll line you up with some services, we'll let you chill out, like you said. You can even sleep something off if you need to sleep it off, whatever it takes. But we want to be here so that you're diverted from higher levels of care, so that you're immediately served for whatever crisis you have, and that we're linking you to those services that are going to help you out in the future. And if you need to come back to us, because we're the better place to go rather than to the ER or back to jail or wherever it might be, then that's what we encourage as well.
So Kim came to Bridgehaven for a luncheon yesterday, and I was very grateful to have you there, because we emphasized the fact to those who were listening, including some judges and some case managers who provide referrals to us, that we are all basically on the same team. We are not competing with each other. We're not trying to take over each other's turf. What we're trying to do is make sure that we do the things that we do best. And you guys do crisis really well. And one of the things that you just said, you know, the step down, well, it's also a step up, because once people come to the living room, the peer specialists, particularly here, can serve the folks who come in, and then send them to Bridgehaven, where we also have an enormous staff of peer specialists, including and also therapists and tons of programs which can carry you day to day in your recovery. So the cooperative balance here is really, really important, because you can't drop somebody off at Bridgehaven in a crisis. You either go to the hospital, you go to jail, you go to OLOP, you go to Central State.
Which are all great care.
Yes, they are, but not everybody needs it. Not everybody needs it.
So this really fills that gap in the community. For example, the reason I'm probably sweating is because we just took a phone call, just a random phone call of somebody who called in and said, I feel horrible. I can't stop talking. My thoughts are racing. I'm driving everybody in my family, making them very uncomfortable, and I'm starting to have thoughts of wanting to hurt myself.
Right.
And so our very savvy business staff, they're the best people on the planet that are always looking to help people as well, made the call out to the living room and said, hey, let's get a clinician up here and let's get this safe and make sure we're not in an imminent risk scenario.
Right.
And talk through the opportunity for that individual, and an Uber is going to pick that person up so they can come here and be around people in recovery.
Good.
They can catch that break. They can get an assessment if that's what they need. They can be connected to resources. And the person said, hey, I've got an appointment later on in the month. I'm not going to make it.
Right.
And I don't want to go back to the hospital. I've been there a lot. They don't let me have my stuff. Talked about, taking his clothes away, making him pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to that place. So before we had the living room, I don't know what we would have been able to say to that individual.
Other than go
Wait
to the
till the
hospital.
end of the
Other than
life
go
to
to the hospital.
is what
Right.
you would have said.
And then if you don't meet that criteria there, then you get sent to the next place and you're back in line waiting for that later on appointment. So it really fills that gap of, and I said, and thank goodness for the living room, I said, do you want to come in right now? And he said, I do. And
There
I
you
said,
go.
He said, how am I going to get there? And I said, well, guess what? We pick you up.
We're going to
Right.
say,
And he's
We'll
the first
bring
thing he
you right
said.
down.
He said, will you bring me home?
Yes.
I don't want to be trapped downtown.
Right.
I said, yeah, we've always got to make sure you get to your next destination safely.
it costs
So-
like $6 to go from Crescent Hill to downtown in an Uber.
This individual had
Nothing.
used an Uber before, was
Yeah.
completely comfortable.
Yeah.
Stephanie, the director, ran upstairs and said, I got one on the way, 9 minutes, 9 minutes. His name is so-and-so, and he's driving a red car. We said, make sure you ask, and that person's on their way. That's how easy this is and how convenient this is. And I'm pretty sure that person was going to end up having to secure a higher level of care before you get to that appointment later on this month.
We use a lot of technical language in this industry, and so when we say secure a higher level of care, we mean this person would have ended up in the hospital, in jail, or dead.
Right.
What
Yes.
it comes down to. They would have suicided,
Yeah.
and it's highly likely that without the services of the living room, that all of those bad scenarios could have easily taken place. And so, interestingly, I was talking with my boss today about assessments. And when people come to Bridgehaven, they come with an evaluation. So to be able to say, from jail, go to the living room, get your evaluation, and when you're ready to move up to the daily level of recovery, bring that evaluation and come to Bridgehaven. That's how all of this is so tightly interwoven.
And the
Shannon,
thing is that Kim said and that Kelly mentioned is we are filling a gap.
right,
And so if we do not secure funding in this budget, where are these people going to go?
right,
I mean, makes me cry. I
Right.
mean, where are the 401 people that came
right,
in February going to go?
right. That was in 1 month, by the
In
way.
1 month, just in
401
February.
people.
We're at over
Right.
2,500 people since we opened the door. And as Kelly said, we were just in a very small pilot for the first 6 months.
That's right.
So we haven't really had more than
3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
Right.
a real operation.
Right.
Where we've already been able to interact with this many people and to change things. And what we do know about this program is that 98% of the people that come here
Yes.
leave as crisis diverted.
Right.
They don't go to the hospital.
Right.
They don't go to the jail. We don't call EMS.
Which means their problem, the immediate problem, was resolved before
Yes.
they walked out the door.
Right.
Crisis averted.
And it was
That's
always
pretty
our
amazing.
dream and concept that we would not have to rely on the police or EMS or the jail bringing people here. We wanted the ability for the community to decide and determine when they were experiencing the crisis, to be able to access care that was meaningful to them,
Right.
that was provided by a peer support, somebody who knows their experience.
That's what I want to talk about.
Okay, then you talk about
Yeah,
it.
stop taking all of her stuff.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, you go.
Who can get a word in?
Who can get a word in
so
edgewise?
excited.
Yes.
So
No, with
excited.
all of us.
I love
know,
it, but
I
that's
know.
the best part.
It is.
That's what's unique about this is that we built this all around peer support.
Yes.
Yes.
And peer support is about hiring people who have that lived experience.
Right.
So what better when you're in that immediate crisis to have someone sitting across from you who knows what that immediate crisis feels like.
Right.
Who knows what you're experiencing, who can say, I was there.
And here I am, because
Yeah.
I'm a
Yes.
peer support
Mhm.
specialist,
Exactly.
and I
And what
experienced
do you
that.
need to get
Yep.
to where I
Yes.
am today?
Yes.
What can we do to
How
connect
can we
you?
walk together?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'm gonna be on
I
this journey
remember
with
when
you.
I was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is how I dealt with this
Yes.
particular
This is what
situation.
worked
So
for me.
it really does work, and you guys have an excellent staff of peer support specialists. Let's get to the lady who's kind of our boss. She's in charge.
I am not. You are in charge.
That's right, because I told
I
you
know,
where
you
to
told
sit.
me to stop bossing you around.
Stop bossing
Right.
me around,
I
Shannon.
know.
So, Shannon, literally, this place has been life-saving. has been life-saving.
Absolutely.
And we have a mental health crisis,
Yeah.
the likes of which this city has never seen.
Never seen.
We have a homeless crisis, the likes of which this city has never seen. And we
Right.
have a substance use disorder crisis, especially with heroin and
Yes.
with meth.
Fentanyl, yeah.
And fentanyl, of
Yes.
course. And, people are dying right and left. I saw an
Yes.
article that said we've dropped, 25%. I don't know if that opioid death reduction is really accurate. I really don't, because I see it firsthand. I hear about it firsthand
Right.
from my homeless outreach peeps.
Right.
And so all of these things are inextricably intertwined.
Absolutely.
And if you don't treat each leg of the stool,
Yeah.
then
Right.
the other two fall out.
Right.
Tell us how we can do that at the living room.
Well, I think the challenge is that this is not babies and puppies, and this is an audience of people that are hard to think about that this is
Yep,
going on.
that's
I mean,
right.
if you drive downtown and you see the tents that are under the overpass, you're like, what is happening? What can I do to help? Well, this is a very complex issue. and
Which,
it
by the
is-
way, have a 21-day clear notice.
I know.
So
Yes.
that those people at Jefferson and Jackson, they call it
where
the
are they
wayside
going
camp.
to go?
And that's my whole point.
Right.
Keep talking.
Right, but
Here's an option,
I
at
know.
least a temporary
Yes,
one.
Yes. And when it was cold, people would come here to get warm, and they can stay 23 hours, and they can also, by the way, get connected to resources.
That's right.
I mean, this is really fulfilling a gap that is so sorely needed in our community. And I'm very concerned that the Metro Council Budget Committee is going to slash our funding. We are the only program that was listed, eliminate living room funding, and we are very concerned about that.
Okay, so let's think about this. Anybody who's watching who knows a Metro Council person, a Metro Council person's administrative assistant, a Metro Council person's staff person, a Metro Council person's family, now's a great opportunity to reach out to them before the budget meeting continues tonight.
Yes.
And you guys are going to be there.
We are.
It's like 4:30, right? So I got to
yes.
watch the time here. Let them know how you feel watching what's going on right now. And you can call City Hall, call the offices, ask to speak to them, especially yours, if you can get a
Yes.
message through to
You can
your
also
Metro
shoot them a
Council
really
person.
quick email.
Yep,
Their
you sure
email
can.
address is firstname.lastname@louisvilleky.gov.
Easy.
Easy.
You can even copy and paste the same message to all 26
You can.
districts if
Yes.
you choose to do
The
so.
website is really great. You can
Yes,
just
it
Google
is.
Louisville Metro Council and
Yep.
all their districts will come up.
Yep.
It'll find which one is yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easy to find. So
Yeah.
Dan Holler, thanks for watching. Sheila Blair Ash, appreciate you. Jeff Stone, Debbie Hossman, David Pate, Liz Matley, Jean Brown, Judy Hardison. I can go on and on and on.
We're similar to Jenna.
Not yet. Maria
it.
Koka's watching us from South Korea.
Love that.
She's an American in South Korea, and this is just another, series of things that are
Right.
happening. Metro Animal Services is on the slate to have ACOs or animal control officers cut. She's trying to save dogs in South Korea
Yes.
who are sent to dog meat farms.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Lisa Vanderpump.
here's the worst part. American families leave South Korea and they leave those dogs behind to be eaten.
What?
And one left
No.
recently and tied the dog to a tree and left. And now they're trying to get a little dachshund placed. So Maria Koka and I
I'll
are
take
in
it.
communication.
I
You
have a
really?
weenie dog, yeah.
Okay, well you might need to talk to me about
Really
that.
too.
Seriously.
I have a
Might
half
need
weenie,
to.
half
Yeah, we
corgi.
might need one
Yeah.
from-
Okay, well you
Okay.
have to pay the
Oh,
airfare to
goodness,
get it
that's
from
fine.
South Korea, but
That's
I know
fine.
you'll do
That's
that.
a
Yeah,
fun
of
one.
course.
Okay, Maria Koka, you're watching
Yes.
us. Shannon
I'll take that
Corbin
weenie
White
dog.
wants the weenie dog. Cassie Simon's watching from Washington, D.C. She's a Louisvillian too, so call your friends, Cassie, let your
Yes.
family members know.
Yes.
We have a very short time frame that we're working within here.
Yeah.
And this was kind of like a desperate last minute pop-up,
We're
take
so
it from
grateful.
Tara, because,
Yes.
when I saw that 100%
Yes.
loss of funding, I mean, that just broke my heart because
Me too.
as I said, I find people. I find
Yes.
lost animals and I find lost people,
Right.
and I know where to send the animals.
Yeah.
But if this were not here, I would not know where to send the people.
Right.
And police officers in our city, Pam Oberhausen and all of our
Yes.
friends on the
Oh.
police force, are so wonderful about getting people here, and that's the
Yes.
first alternative.
Yeah.
Not,
And they love
hey,
it.
I'm going to take
They
you to
love
jail.
it.
It's, hey, you want to go to the living room?
Right.
Yes.
Explain the 23-hour thing, because I think people might be confused when you say they can stay 23 hours. What does that mean?
Oh, good. That's a great question.
Yeah.
So, if we go beyond 23 hours, then we're considered a residential setting.
Oh.
And there's licensure, and
I
there's
see.
requirements, and there's all these things you have to have in order to do that.
Gotcha.
So if we cut it off at 23, we don't have to have any of that. It lowers our costs. It gives us ability to do more with less.
But a person can check in as frequently as they need to check in
Yes.
and check out at will. So although someone can stay up to 23 hours, guests come and go and
Yes.
check in and out as
Sure.
they need to seek the resources, and then they need to come back. That's not unusual as things open up in the city, or they need to go to receive a meal, those types of things. So it really works very well. That doesn't become a barrier. We've never had an experience where like, oh, it's 23 hours, you got to get out. You know,
Right,
that's not
right.
how it works.
Right, it just comes
it's a
and goes.
check out, and then if you need to come back, check back in with us.
Yeah, literally. And we've got several tables full of activity going on behind us,
Yes.
and people are starting to come in, and they're
Yeah.
going to come in because the weather is going to get bad this afternoon.
Yeah.
And also, just the crisis of, as we talked about, all of these different things that are happening, we've got to have an alternative to what we call the biggest mental health non-treatment facility in the city, which is the jail. The biggest homeless shelter, which is not at all, is the jail.
Yeah.
And the biggest detox center,
Yes.
which it is not at all, is the jail. I mean, it really is a detox center because you go in there, man, and you are cut off from everything. There is no
Yes.
weaning, there is no slowing down, there is no medical assistance, there is nothing. You just have to go through it.
Yes.
And going through detox in a jail would have to be the most nightmarish thing
Right.
I could ever imagine.
And then
Whether-
you're at such a higher risk when you leave if
Yes.
you use again that
Yes.
you could overdose.
And you also have that, and the whole thing is, you know, they talk about, I learned this from Tiny Markwell, and I didn't know this, but people who have been heroin addicts, if they choose to use again, are, they are suggested that test shots would be the
Yeah,
thing to do, which is a
absolutely.
tiny part of the heroin that they had taken
That's
before.
right.
But she lost her husband because of a test shot. There was still heroin in the needle. And so that's the power, and they're, you know, they don't know whether the toxicology is going to show fentanyl, but there is so much stuff being cut into the drugs
Yes.
these days. And the needle exchange programs, you know, are things that people just don't understand this. They're like, why would you give people clean needles?
Right.
Aren't you encouraging them to take drugs? We're-
No.
They don't know.
They don't understand harm reduction. And
Yes,
so a good example
harm
of what you're talking
reduction is
about
the word.
where the drugs have really changed here in Louisville. We monitor the census at our detox center and our addiction recovery center. And we had watched the numbers decline, which seemed really shocking with the need. So we started to send out some communication to get a little more down into the details of why
Yes.
people weren't getting into detox.
Yes.
And the information came back that they were seeing the exact same amount of people for evaluation who were reporting daily heroin use, but they were not peeing dirty for heroin because it's fentanyl.
I'll be
And the tests
darned.
aren't picking it up. And so we were having to organize to get the correct test on the ground in order to get the correct level of care to them. And people were reporting daily heroin use. They weren't reporting anything else, and it's not even being detected on urine drug screen right now.
And fentanyl, from my understanding, is an elephant tranquilizer.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Carfentanil?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And so-
it's that powerful.
And then it has, I mean, to
Yes.
think about, and then somebody took a picture of a penny and a little tiny itty bitty bit of fentanyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could kill you.
Which will kill thousands
Thousands
of
of
people.
people.
I mean, somebody
Right.
in New York had a picture in the New York Times or something of that small amount and it said, this is enough to kill 100 million people. I mean, seriously, it's just crazy, to
Crazy.
think about the power of
I know.
drugs.
I know.
So I want to say hi to a couple of people. By the way, Dan Haler, I'm sorry I mispronounced your name. Wendy Lovelace is here. Linda Mattingly, Kevin Hale, Ellen Jones. Thank you guys so much for being with us. This is the afternoon that the budget meeting is happening about 4:30, and we'd like you to take a moment to go on to LouisvilleKY.gov.
Yes.
Metro Council people are still in the office getting ready to go to the committee of the whole, I guess, or is it to the actual
budget.
to the budget people? Okay.
committee, yeah.
And they're going to be hearing discussions and a lot of begging and pleading, I know, from people who are threatened at this point to be cut in the city budget, which is just confronting all kinds of issues. And I'm going to just ask this question of whichever one of you want to answer it. Explain why the budget is being slashed. This is what people want to know. Why is the budget being slashed? Why do we not have enough money to operate our city?
Well, it's the pension crisis that's coming out of the state. And
Right.
so if the mayor proposed the tax increase, the insurance tax increase, and so that would fill the hole. But other Metro Council members would like to see cuts in addition and less of a tax increase. So it's probably going to be some hybrid. But we are not sure why the living room has been chosen for total elimination of funding. And so today at the budget committee meeting, I think we'll hear some sort of a proposal of a hybrid. So it'll be a tax increase, but also some significant cuts.
And this would be a tax increase on insurance and
Boat.
premiums and all
Boat
that kind of
insurance.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
And homeowners too, and cars.
I think
don't
so,
know.
not
It's all
cars.
not cars.
Not cars.
No.
That's
But
good.
I think, yeah, I know.
I only
know.
pay like $10 on my 18-year-old vehicle anyway. But I don't want that increasing
Right.
at all.
Right.
But 10% increases, and Bill Hollander. This is another thing that came up yesterday. Bill Hollander posted something on Facebook about the fact that our mineral tax here in Louisville, which is a very strange thing, is being given by the state
Yes.
to a garden. A nonprofit garden called the Botanical Gardens, which I love and I'm very
Yeah.
excited about, Louisville Botanical Gardens. But the state is deciding what we do with
Right.
Metro money, which is very weird, and it's
Which is
never
very
happened
weird. So
before.
we can't do a local option sales tax. We can't
Right.
do just a tax on income tax or something because we are handcuffed by the state. We
Right.
can't make those decisions for
So
ourselves.
that's kind of scary
It
that
is.
that
This is the only
$400,000 is going to something that's a private, organization that has a ton of fundraising going on, as opposed to going to maybe city-based services that require funding.
or
So-
community support.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
stopping. I always think about this. I always say, because I relate everything to dogs, but you
Right.
think about the fact that a dog is attacking you, and you've got your phone and you're desperately calling and you're saying, "Can I have an ACO?" Well, the police are going to come. What's going to happen? Is the dog going to be shot? If an ACO comes, they can oftentimes de-escalate the situation, take the dog, and it's oftentimes also something that's happened that's external to the dog.
Right.
It's somebody who's scared them, attacked them,
Right.
broken into their yard, whatever.
Same with
think
people.
about what happens if the
Right.
ambulance isn't coming.
Right.
Think what
Or if the living room isn't here.
I stopped the other day and rendered aid at an accident, and there were 100 first responders there within 5 minutes. I mean, seriously, it was not 100, but
Yeah.
6 patrol officers, 6 police
They swarm.
cars, an ambulance, an EMS truck, and a fire engine within moments.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things are so critical to us, and this is just as critical with the living room, which is part of Centerstone, because it gives all those first responders someplace to bring an individual in crisis, whether they are extremely high, whether they are violently ill from being outside, whether they're suffering from thrush, or whether they have diabetes and their blood sugar is dropped, or whether they have nowhere to go and it's soaking wet outside and freezing cold and they can't walk another step.
Right.
As happened last year with my buddy Kyle. And so, you just don't want to see people who don't have to go to jail, which is a trauma in itself.
Yes.
If they don't need to go to jail, that's why the living room is here. That's why you guys developed it. What can we say to somebody who's watching right now that's going to give me a concrete example, give me a success story, and tell me what the living room did for someone in the last 24 hours?
Sure. We had a great example yesterday that just fell in our laps, and there's a video. You can go to our Facebook page and watch it. We have a YouTube
Centerstone,
page,
Kentucky.
Centerstone, Kentucky. It's great. It's worth the 3 minutes to watch this video because it's really incredible.
Yep.
So it was an individual who actually originally came to us. Her name is Melissa. She came to us because she was discharged from the jail, and she says in her own words, "I made some bad choices." And we started to build that relationship, and I think that's a hard thing for people to understand, that recovery is not a sprint. It's not a one-time event usually. It's more of a marathon, and it's something you have to maintenance over time.
And that's mental health recovery
Yeah.
and addiction recovery.
All recovery,
All
is
recovery.
a true marathon.
Yeah.
And so Melissa came here, she met the peers, she developed relationships with our peers, she learned about some resources, she thought she was ready to go, left, but found herself back in that situation again.
Yep.
This time she chose to come back in.
Wow.
On her own.
That's amazing.
She rang the doorbell, she came back in, was having a crisis, was able to get resources. She now trusted these people whom she had spent a great number of hours and time
Yes.
with. They helped her connect to her family, and then from there, they helped her connect to a recovery center. And in her own words, she says, "The living room saved my life." And she said, "I want to be the success story out of this place.
That's
And
great.
if it hadn't been for this place,
Yes.
I don't know what would have happened to me." And she said, "I probably would have died that night."
Yeah.
And nobody can tell the story like she tells the story because we were all in puddles, and it's just very powerful
Yeah.
to watch her story,
Yeah.
and knowing what experiences she had had. She wasn't necessarily originally from here. She'd come here through circumstances, a little lost in the city. I had another great experience. I was in the women's prison. We do a lot of outreach in the women's prison and the men's prisons, thinking about people re-entering in our community.
Right.
Out of the 4 prisons that sit just miles away from Louisville,
Yes.
we are the #1 re-entry spot.
Wow.
And I met a woman who approached my table. We have to sit behind a table, and she literally grabbed my hands. And I'm like, okay. And she said, they're going to let me out of here. And I said, that's great. Really, that's why we're here. She said, I've been here 31 years.
Holy moly.
I'll be 50
Oh
soon.
my
I've been here
gosh.
31 years. And instantly in my head, I'm doing that math.
21.
So I'm like, oh my gracious.
Wow.
And she said, I said, well, where are you going? And she said, they're sending me to a place called Louisville. And I said, you're not from around here. And she said, no, I'm not. I was with a military family. I was in Kentucky 2 weeks before I made the choices that I made. I've never been anywhere. They're going to send me to Louisville. What are we going to do?
Wow.
So I got the reentry coordinator and said, we got to get some help wrapped around this
Yes.
individual. What I had in my hand was the living room brochure, and I said, you're never lost in Louisville. You're never lost.
Yeah.
This place right here, remember this, if you lose everything else from today, say it back to me 3 times, 708 Magazine Street, 708 Magazine Street, 708 Magazine Street. Take me to 708 Magazine Street. I said, we're always open, and the people, you're welcome here.
Get that Uber.
Yes.
That Uber, yes.
And I said, you make sure you give them this, and you say, if you've got to send me somewhere, send me here. And I said,
Wow.
once you get here, we're going to help you start to figure out what comes next. And she said, I don't have people. I've been here very long.
She'll have people if she comes here.
That's right.
she will.
And she
Yes,
literally
she will.
teared up and let go of my hands. And I said, what are we going to remember? And she said, 708
Magazine
Magazine
Street.
Street. And I said, that's right.
So
You
great.
know, and that's the most amazing part about the places in Louisville that serve whatever your need would be, whether it's mental health or addiction or homelessness, is that the people who do this work, all of you guys who do this work, are so open and so loving, and you become a family of choice.
Absolutely.
You know, and we say that at Bridgehaven, and we, you know, on the homeless front, I mean, the Forgotten Louisville,
Yeah.
the Forgotten Furniture, Fed with Faith, Hip Hop Cares,
Right.
Street Reach Disciples, the down the South End Street Angels. I could go Exit Zero.
Right.
I could just go on and on and on. All of these folks are so amazing in the way that they create this incredible family. And I know a lot of them bring folks to you too.
Absolutely. And I think that comes from what we all share, which is a belief in recovery for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we know everyone has potential. We don't see an illness. We do not see an addiction. We don't see those types of things. What we see is that person on the inside.
That's right.
That we know good quality care and support and that chosen family can help unlock in that individual. We know that because of who we work with, who are our coworkers,
That's
who have
right.
shown us that, who have given us that, who are some of the best workers we've ever had the opportunity to share our day life with. And you got to believe in that. But that is the one thing that's here. We believe in everybody. There's no one we don't believe in.
I love
it's
that.
possible for everybody.
Rochelle Cassetta is watching Good Discussion. She says, Greg Kalin, Amber Clark, Wendy Lovelace, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I don't want to keep you because it's 3:45 and you need
gotta
to
go.
get down to City
Yeah.
Hall. But just last thoughts, Shannon.
Save the living room.
Hashtag save the living room.
save the living
Share
room.
our
Really good
video.
hashtag.
Share
Yes.
our video.
Where is it?
It's,
Centerstone, Kentucky Facebook page.
yeah. Pick it up, share it, tell your friends.
Yes.
That's
and
the best
call
story
your
we have.
Metro Council members.
Yes. And
Yes.
thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Chara.